Hi and welcome back to Peaky Boardgamer. My name is Ektorakos and today I will teach you how to play Hannamikoji Geisha's Road, the new game by Emperor S4 designed by Chiang, which is very similar to Hannamikoji but adds a new dimension and also some interesting mechanics. The game is again for 2 players only and takes about half an hour to finish. Let's start. In Hannamikoji Geisha's Road, players play their item cards in their tableau to win the control of geishas as well as their prestige points. Depending on the played card, players will also be moving the corresponding geishas around the tea houses. Doing so, they will gain guest tokens as well as increase the prestige value of each geisha. At the end of the first round, players will gain the prestige points of geishas they control, but also more points by creating sets with their acquired guest tokens. After the end of 2 rounds, the player with the most prestige points will be declared the winner. However, the game can end sooner if a player manages to control 4 out of 5 geishas and immediately win in Hannamikoji Geisha's Road. At first, create a row of geisha tiles between the 2 players. The order is irrelevant, but as the tiles are double-sided, make sure you use the side depicting 1 prestige point. Each player then takes a set of 4 action tiles placed with the unused side facing upwards, visible to both players. Each player also takes a counter-offer token and a hidden offer token. Again, use the side depicting a prestige point facing upwards. Choose a player at random to be the starting player and give that player this starting player token. Take the 5 teahouse cards and with them create a circle of cards in any order. You may use any side of the card facing upward. Each teahouse card corresponds to one of the 5 colors, so you need to find the corresponding geisha standee and place it on top of the card, place the 3 corresponding guest tokens beneath the card, and finally the corresponding tiebreaker token which is placed also next to the card. After you do the same for all teahouses, shuffle the 20 item cards and place them in the middle of the circle facing downwards. Item cards contain 5 suit with 4 cards each with a range of influence from 1 to 4. Place the prestige point setting card using this side facing upwards, and after you shuffle all prestige tokens, randomly place 5 tokens creating a top row, and with the last 4 tokens create a second row as illustrated by the symbols on the card. All tokens should be placed using the light side facing upwards. The top row is regarded to be the full geisha promotion set, while the second one is the okaasan promotion set. Each player then draws 6 cards from the item deck, which are kept hidden from their opponent at all times. The game is now ready to start. The game is played in up to 2 rounds. On every round, players alternate turns, executing and exhausting one of their action tiles, starting with the player with the first player marker. After both players have played all of their action tiles, the round comes to an end. And if there is no immediate winner, there is scoring and the game proceeds with the last round. Before selecting an action tile, the player first draws the top card from the item deck and adds it to their hand. With the first action, Reveal, the player simply selects 1 card from their hand and places it facing upwards next to the corresponding geisha towards their side of the geisha road. Whenever an item card is placed on the row of geishas, the corresponding geisha will move around the tea houses depending on the number of the played card. With the value 1 card, the player moves the corresponding geisha 1 tea house moving in a clockwise direction. Then the player, if able, draws 2 guest tokens from the tea house where the geisha has landed, so I would gain 2 blue guests. If there are not enough guest tokens, the player draws as much as they can. The number of guests that should be gained is also indicated on the top left corner of the card. With a 2-value item card, the player moves the corresponding geisha 2 spaces clockwise, but then draws only 1 guest token from the destination. With a 3-value item card, the player moves the corresponding geisha 3 spaces, but gains no guest token. With a 4-value item card, again the player moves the corresponding geisha 4 spaces and gains no guest tokens. After a geisha returns to her corresponding tea house for the first time, then after the player gains the appropriate number of guest tokens, the player takes the leftmost prestige token from the full geisha promotion set and places it on the corresponding geisha row tile. This increases the prestige value of the geisha for the player that controls it at the end of the round. In our example, this geisha now worth 3 prestige points. Important! To gain a prestige token, the geisha must land on her tea house. If she passes over, the geisha is not regarded to have returned home. The second time a geisha returns home, then you place the leftmost prestige token from the okaasan promotion set. With action tile 2 Intrigue, the player selects any card from their hand and discards it facing downwards to a discard pile. Then selects a second card and places it facing downwards beneath the action tile. This card will be played, but at the end of the round, right after both players have played all of their action tiles. Action tile 3 Gift and action tile 4 Competition are two similar I cat you choose actions. With the gift action, the player selects 3 cards and offers them to the opponent. The opponent then selects and plays one of these cards into the row, and the remaining 2 will be played by the facing player right after. Cards are always played one after the other, and you should never forget to move the corresponding geishas right after playing each item card. With a competition action, the player creates 2 sets of 2 cards each and offers them to the opponent. The opponent selects one of the 2 sets and plays the cards one after the other, moving the corresponding geisha around the tea houses right after each movement. Then the facing player gets to play the 2 remaining cards one after the other as well. Players also have 2 special tiles that are combined with the I cat you choose actions. The counteroffer token is played when you are offered an I cat you choose action. On the contrary, the hidden offer token is played when you offer cards to the opponent. Let's explain these tokens using examples. Let's start with the hidden offer token. When offering cards with an I cat you choose action and have the hidden offer token available, you can use it and place one of the offered cards facing downwards. The opponent then can choose any one of the cards, but without looking at this card. To finish the example, let's say that the opponent chooses this card, which is placed here, and then the facing player will place the remaining cards facing upwards. Let's continue with a counteroffer token. As we previously said, these are played when you are offered an I cat you choose action. Let's say that player A plays Competition and offers these 2 sets to the opponent. Now, if that player has the counteroffer token available, they may use it to replace one of the offered cards. The player discards one of the cards in the discard pile and replaces them with another card from their hand. Then draws 1 card from the item deck to replenish their hand and passes the offer back to the facing player. Now the facing player has to play one of the selected sets and returns the last set back to the opponent in order to play the cards. If the counteroffer tile is available, you can also counteroffer a counteroffer from the opponent. To repeat the process, switch one of the cards again and repass the offer to the opponent. You can also use both of the tiles in one go. When you are offered an I cat you choose action, you can use both of these tiles and then replace any card with a hidden card and then pass the offer to the opponent. After both players have used their 4 action tiles, the round comes to an end. Then, starting with the first player, each player reveals their hidden card from their Intrigue tile, plays the card and moves the corresponding geisha as normal. Then, each player tallies up the influence played on each one of the geishas, and the player with the highest influence in each geisha controls that geisha. If at this point a player controls 4 out of 5 geishas, then the game ends immediately and that player is the winner. In case there is a tie, no player controls that geisha. If no player wins at this point, then you proceed with scoring of the first round. For each geisha they control, players gain the prestige points printed on the geisha tile, as well as the prestige points from the prestige tiles that are accumulated on the geisha tile. So for the yellow geisha, the top player gains 3 prestige points. Also, the player takes the corresponding initiative token on their side in the geisha road next to the corresponding geisha tile. You can see in my graphics the prestige points gained by each player based on our current example. Players also gain prestige points for their acquired guest tokens. Players create sets of same color or different color tiles, but they can use each tile only in one set. For each set of 1, 2 or 3 same color tiles, the player gains 0, 1 or 4 points respectively. And for each set of 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 different color tiles, the player gains 0, 1, 3, 6 and 10 points respectively. According to this player gains another 5 prestige points. Players also gain 1 prestige point for each unused special tile, as depicted on the tile as well. The player with the most prestige points is assumed to have won the first round. If there is a tie, then the player with the most tiebreaker tokens wins. If there is still a tie, the starting player always wins. You prepare for the second round first by returning the guest tokens back to their corresponding tea houses. Make note that Geisha standees remain in their position and are not reset. Take the 20 item cards, reshuffle them and place them again in the middle of the tea house area. Return all prestige tokens and randomly recreate the 2 promotion sets. All Geisha tiles are then flipped to their other side, depicting 2 prestige points. Both players flip their action tiles to their unexhausted side, and then they do the same for their special tiles. Players are then dealt 6 cards from the item deck as their starting hand for the second round. Finally, the player that lost in the first round will select which player will be the starting player for the second one and will also take the first player token. Players keep the score from the first round and start the second one, which is played in the same way. The only difference is that at the end of the second round, if there is a tie in influence, the geisha is controlled by the player holding the tiebreaker token. So in our example, the bottom player will win the 2 ties in the green and pink geishas and all of the prestige points on their tiles. In any case, whoever controls a geisha also steals the tiebreaker token. If there is no immediate winner, players proceed with scoring and add the prestige points gained from the first round. The player with the most prestige points win the game. If there is a tie, then the player with the most tiebreaker tokens win the tie. If the tie still exists, then the player who started the second round wins the game. And that was Hannamikoji Geisha's Road. If you like our videos and want to see more videos like that, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have fun and play more board games.